Here's the thought, why don't we pass up the messing up around? Just pass them out, because you're already messing up, and so let somebody else share the mess ups with you. Number 4, selfishness. Many people basically are selfish, and they want to keep everything for themselves. Number 5 is pride. Some people think that, oh my goodness, if I bring somebody else into this, then somehow it means I'm less of a person, or I'm not who I should be, or I'm not the leader I should be, or somebody's not going to think I'm doing the job that I can do. Number 6, control. Don't you know some people that are control freaks? I mean, they don't let anything farther away than their grasp. And they basically don't feel comfortable unless they have total control. And by the way, let me just time out here. They're not any fun to be around, are they? I mean, when I'm around a control freak, I look for the exit door as fast as I can. I've got to go out and get a breath of fresh air. Number 7, naiveness. I think a lot of people don't use a team because they never had training on it. And they don't know and understand the value of it. So I think there are a lot of people like myself. When I got to 40 and had not accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and I kind of was a little bit set back on that whole situation and asked myself, why not? To be honest with you, I had a sense of naiveness. For a period of time, I just really wasn't sure how to develop a team. That's why we're having this seminar. That's why these training tapes on teamwork. Number 8, poor teammates. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever handed the ball off to somebody and they just consistently fumbled it? Isn't that true? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you hand the ball off, they fumble. You hand the ball off, they fumble. You hand the ball, they fumbled it. You with me? And after you do that for a period of time, you say, I don't think I want to hand the ball off. It's kind of like you hit the ball and drag Charlie, hit the ball and drag Charlie, hit the ball and drag Charlie, hit the ball and drag Charlie. After a while, don't you just want to hit Charlie? I mean, after a while, you say, Charlie, come on, boy, come on. Well, what I'm here to say to you is very simple. Every one of us have had bad experiences with handing the ball off to a teammate. Is that not true? Yes. Our problem is not that we had a bad experience. Our problem is we let the bad experience stop us from developing teams. How many times have you heard the expression, I would rather do it myself? If the job is to be done right, you gotta do it yourself. Huh? Now, this kind of an attitude, I guess it's best reflected when Mark Twain said, when we have bad experience, our tendency is to back off of the bad experience. Mark Twain said, if a cat sits on a hot stove, that cat won't sit on a hot stove again. He went on and said, that cat won't sit on a cold stove either. That cat just don't like stoves. Well, that's what happens when we have a bad experience. And every one of us has had bad experiences with team players. Sometimes that causes us to say, no, I'm going to do it myself. And then I think also, there's one more reason I think we do it ourselves, and that is a lack of training. I think a lot of times, nobody has ever taught us how to train and develop people. Let me give you background. Let me give you the process that I went through in developing a team. Now, my background is in the pastorate. And so when I realized that I needed to have the help not only of the lay people in the congregation, but I also needed to get a staff, and the church grew to the place I needed to get a staff, I'll never forget. Here's the process, and you just kind of think your way through this. First of all, I did everything myself. We've all been there. Then I said, okay, I need help, so I brought somebody else on the team. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is it didn't work. So I let him go. Now I'm back to doing it all myself. And basically saying team stuff doesn't work. To where I can no longer do it all myself, and so I bring another person on the team. Now, I started to do it myself. I do it with somebody, but that doesn't work, so I do it myself. Now I bring somebody else on the team. Now, but because I did it with somebody and it didn't work, this time I said, okay, I'll bring them on the team. I'll give them a job. I'll give them an assignment, but I won't get close to them. In other words, I'll give them a job. I'll say, Gene, that's your job. You do it. You do your thing, I'll do my thing, and never the two shall meet. Now, here's what I found. When you bring somebody on your team and you give them an assignment, but you don't develop a relationship, the good news is they will never hurt you. The bad news is they'll never help you. So I went from doing it myself to bringing somebody that it didn't work, to doing it myself, to bringing somebody on the team but didn't get close to him, to now bringing somebody on the team and saying, no, I'm going to develop a relationship with him. Now the good news is now all of a sudden we're having a good time. We're connecting. We're relating. That's the good news. The bad news is we're not accomplishing much. We're holding hands and singing Kumbaya. Then all of a sudden I realize the value of a team member is to come together for a common purpose. So what's the process? I do it myself. I bring somebody on. It doesn't work. I do it myself. I bring somebody on, but I don't let them close to me. I bring somebody on and I let them close to me, but I don't train them because we're just into relationships. Now I bring somebody on and I am close to them and I develop not only a relationship with them, but I begin to train them. It wasn't till I learned that you bring somebody on your team, not only to have a connection in a relationship with them, but also to train them, that they really become effective. I was at an office the other day and I saw a sign on the desk that really explains, I think, the law of significance best. Because on the desk was this sign, and I think it said it well. The sign read, if I had it to do all over again, I'd get help. And I think how true that is. If I had it to do all over again, I'd ask for help. So what I have in closing on this law of significance is I brought with you one of my favorite stories to read. It's the story of the bricklayer. Listen to it. A bricklayer tried to move about 500 pounds of bricks from the top of a 4-story building to the sidewalk below. And the problem was he tried to do it alone. This is his own story taken from his insurance claim form. It would have taken too long to carry bricks down by hand, so I decided to put them in a barrel and lower them by a pulley which I had fastened to the top of the building. After tying the rope securely at ground level, I then went up to the top of the building. I fastened the rope around the barrel, loaded it with bricks, swung it out over the sidewalk for the descent. Then I went down to the sidewalk and I untied the rope, holding it securely to guide the barrel down slowly. But since I weigh only 140 pounds, the 500-pound load jerked me from the ground so fast that I didn't have time to think of letting go of the rope. And as I passed between the second and third floor, I met the barrel coming down. This accounts for the bruises and the lacerations on my upper body. I held tightly to the rope until I reached the top where my hand became jammed in the pulley. This accounts for my broken thumb. At the same time, however, the barrel hit the sidewalk with a bang, and the bottom fell out. With the weight of the bricks gone, the barrel weighed only 40 pounds. I see the train a-coming. Thus, my 140-pound body began a swift descent, and I met the empty barrel coming up. This accounts for my broken ankle. Slowed only slightly, I continued to the descent, and I landed on the pile of bricks. This accounts for my sprained back and broken collarbone. At this point, I love this statement, I lost my presence of mind completely. That's debatable. I lost my presence of mind completely, and I let go of the rope. And the empty barrel came crashing down on me. This accounts for my head injuries. And as for the last question on your insurance form, what would you do if the same situation arose again? Please be advised that I am finished trying to do the job all by myself. Now, this is what happens when you try to do the job alone. And the law of significance says one is too small of a number to achieve greatness.